What's up, guys? Welcome to Resellers Life. My name is Chris. Thank you so much for joining me. In this episode, we're going to address, is this the end of the hobby seller? I'm trying to help Sarah Stiles take it sort of from a hobby to a $1,000 per week professional level income. She has a lot of skills, but she's transitioning from starting reselling to having it basically replace her old income. So Sarah, why don't you introduce yourself and let people know where they can find you on social media if they want to follow you.
Yep, I am Sarah Stiles, LLC on all social media platforms and eBay, Poshmark, and Etsy.
So the reason why I want to do this video, also this is in partnership because we're doing a mentorship this year on helping her build this income. The reason why this is coming up is I'm getting a lot of emails from people who've been displaced from their job. So people who are making between 50 to 200,000 a year, now they're going to lose their job because it's either been eliminated or their company's not doing so well, and they're entering reselling with 50, 100, 200K in savings. They're patient, they have business skills, and they're bringing all of that knowledge into reselling. And also, I think it's important to state that the average entrepreneur in the United States is actually 50 years old. You don't hear that when you're watching social media. You think it's people in their 20s, but not really. All the people that own all these small businesses, the pizza parlors, the dry cleaners, the neighborhood accountant, these are not 20 and 30 year olds. These are people who've had a career doing something, then start their own practice doing the same thing. And so these people are now being displaced and entering reselling as a career, and they're treating it way differently than people that I have talked to. They're
As a
getting
business.
commercial
Yeah.
space, which is super cheap, and getting employees, building systems, and a little scary. So Sarah, I don't know if you're intimidated or feeling the heat. How's it been going this last week?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think that the market is getting saturated and you're getting a lot more people coming into it. I hadn't necessarily thought of it from that perspective. But I am seeing, and I've only been doing this for a year and a half, but for reselling, I did upcycle before, but it's already like comps are starting to go down. I used to be able to do a listing and I'd be at the top, and now there's like so many, like you can just tell that there's a lot more people getting into it. But I
Mhm.
also think there's a lot more people that are shopping e-commerce as well. So I'm
Absolutely.
trying to stay positive and take advantage, do this mentorship with you to try and figure out. But it is a little scary because I don't want to have a commercial space. I don't want to have, I'm fine doing, a couple of contractors, maybe a VA and stuff, but I don't want to have employees. I don't want to do all of that. I want to sustain, close to my corporate America income, give or take a little, and not have to deal with employing people.
Yeah, see this, what this requires. So traditionally, if you're trying to get suppliers, they want you to have a building, they want you to have employees. The saying goes, you want people who are married and buried, people who have insane amounts of debt, kids, a family, a building, hungry employees, babies to feed at home. That person is who you want to give your best supply to, because they're going to work their butt off trying to sell it. But somebody who's nimble, young, at home, no overhead, no babies to feed, that's the least
Oh,
person that you want to work with. Right.
minus the babies to
Yeah, you
feed.
have
That's
babies to
like
feed.
all me. But
But
I mean, my husband brings in the majority of, like, my income is nice, but it's not like we don't aren't
right.
starving without it.
No, but here's the kicker. They still want to work with you if you know how to move the inventory. But traditionally, the person that works from home with no employees is a really good picker. Okay,
Yes.
that skill is worth hundreds of dollars an hour, and that translates into making this work. So it's just difficult because traditional businesses are wholesale retail, right? This business reselling really comes down to how good is the inventory you have coming in. So it's really sorting. Now with all these new people sorting, the pickings are a little bit less. I remember, I've only been doing this for 3 years, but when I hear about the good old days, it was people that were listing on eBay only. They didn't have to cross list. There was no Poshmark. There was no Mercari. It was just eBay and Amazon, and all the traffic was there. Now the traffic is spread out. There's people on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Mercari, OfferUp, Close5. the
And to
classifieds.
manage all of that, you can't, like, that's too much for one person to manage. If you
It's too
have a
much.
huge inventory and you're cross listing and you're like, I
Hmm.
can't imagine being on more than two platforms right now because I'm
Hmm.
already terrified I'm going to forget something
Yep.
somewhere. And so now you're having to have more people to manage all of that.
And we're talking about people who the people are doing more work now on more platforms, more confusing, more complex, and earning less than
Hmm.
before when they were on just one platform and doing well. And you'll see people saying, I can't make it work on just Poshmark, or I can't make it work on just eBay. I have to try to get business elsewhere. And they're not used to that. So you take your eye off the ball, divert your attention, and now you're failing at both platforms,
Yeah.
and it's definitely scary.
So what do we do?
So
Because
what
now
I
we've
think,
just been talking for 5 minutes and I'm scared.
so the way that I think we should approach this is you just need to have a longer term outlook.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this kind of trend happen everywhere. Like people are now dual income. So it used to be like one person working, maybe one person takes care of the kids. Now we have both people working and both people taking care of the kids. And it's like not just okay, like we know all these things now about childhood development. So people are spending a lot more time with their kids and a lot more time at work. So I think right now we kind of need to just understand that there's less leisure, and you need to like your work is the thing that I think should be the main thing. So for you, you have a blended income. You're working on social media, you're working on building all these different foundations for different platforms. I think that's important because it's going to take most people, including myself, longer to reach your goal because there's so much more to do. So I was just listening to another show talking about how before you used to think of the rich class as the leisure class, right? They would, put on fancy hats and go to the Kentucky Derby. They would, spend the weekend at the park. Now that's not what rich people look like. Rich people are like running Ironmans. They're like getting another degree on the weekend.
Yeah.
They're tutoring their kids. They're healthy and they're running a side hustle and they're trying to start a nonprofit. It's insane. So I think right now people just need to understand it. I think the leisure class is kind of going away. It's almost like you have to just think of your life as a game, and you're just moving the best you can to navigate through it. Everyone's game is different. But I think that there's not a finish line. People keep asking me, can I get to this point and I'll be good? And I'm like, I don't think so. Once you get
It's
there, there'll be
always
another
fluid. Yeah.
that's going to move.
Well, and that's something that we've talked about too, is that business is fluid. Because, when we were trying to figure this out in the beginning, you're like, well, what's your goal and what do you, and I have like a big goal, but because I'm on various different, yeah, blended income, as you call it, if reselling isn't where it's at and I'm spending a ton of time and I'm not making money there, but I'm making more on YouTube, then cool, I'm going to pivot, and it's always going to be changing. I don't ever imagine that I'm going to get to a place where I'm like, cool, like I got this. I'm just going to smooth sail. Like the next month, something's going to, I mean, no one would have guessed a pandemic, right? But,
Yeah.
business is always changing and you have to kind of go with it.
I do have one piece of encouragement that should make you feel a lot better, which is
Okay, good.
right now is the first time ever that people with skills are out earning people with money. It used to be if you it takes money to make money. But I
Yeah,
don't I don't necessarily think so. I mean, to a certain degree, yes, maybe like trying to make $5 million is easier if you have $5 million, but
to invest.
the
Yeah,
actual earning income to earn the top 1% in America is only 350,000 a year income. That's not that's not like a crazy number. Like you could reverse engineer, selling 300 items a day would put you into that income bracket for a lot of people. And that's
yeah,
not super crazy. People can imagine doing 30 a day, right? So if you could figure out how to do 10 times that, that puts you into the very rare class of 1% of people. So that should give people encouragement. Like you, because of eBay and Amazon and these incredible platforms that let you reach millions of people, you could skill your way into that, but that would require, in my opinion, just one super skill, which is the skill of sourcing perfect items. So you had texted me earlier in the week asking me what list I give the people who scout for me,
oh yeah,
different products, right? And
yeah,
it actually changes. So I don't know right now. I'm a little bit, I'm pausing because I'm not sure what to buy. And
Yeah, I'm kind of in
because
that same place.
it's a little bit funky, so I'm not sure it's a good time to spend a lot of capital right now because things keep changing. And I want to know, I want to have more of an idea of what the country is going to do because we are 4 days from reopening in California and there's no plan. So what about all these people
Chaos.
that are supposed to, there's 180,000 people who work at gyms in California. Those are not reopening in 4 days.
Most of No, we're still rolling it out, but the majority of our stuff is up. It's just at like a capacity. Like restaurants are only at like
Hmm.
50% capacity, but most restaurants can't make it. Like you still have to
Yeah,
staff the same amount of people. Okay,
that's
maybe
right.
one less waiter, but you still have
Hmm.
to open everything, cooks, and
Hmm.
so they can't make it as well. And I'm kind of in the same place with you right now in this past month, I'm now upping how many I'm listing, which means that I'm having to source more and I'm spending more, but I'm feeling very unsure about what to source because before I knew where to go. I was doing higher average sale price items. I knew they would sell. And now I'm seeing much lower average sale price items with less places to source. And so I'm paying higher cost of goods and
Hmm.
less average sale. Like, I don't know what to do. I have no idea. I'm just kind of floating right along. And I feel like I'm slowly becoming a hoarder too, because I didn't used to have a death pile. And now I'm like, well, what if we can't source again and I don't have inventory? So I'm like, I have like 300 items to list, but I still am out there trying to find because I'm scared that eventually those are going to go away and I'm not going to have anything to replace them. Well, that was never a concern before all this.
So right now there are two. You had mentioned still inventory. Do you want to elaborate on what you mean by still inventory?
Oh, before I don't remember what I said.
So we were
What
going to
was it
talk
in
about.
reference to?
It's all
Yeah.
good. So right now, instead of me spending a bunch of money on inventory, I'm thinking about sort of shrinking my inventory. And I'm okay. I understand if in the event that sourcing dries up, I think that's okay because it's not forever. It's going to dry up for just
Yeah.
a moment. Once the our country is built on spending. I just don't know what people are spending money on yet. So it's okay. It's kind of like a good time to reduce your inventory, maybe pile up a little bit of money instead of spending on inventory. Maybe just sell what you have for a moment and backtrack.
So then what happens with listing? Because you were big on like listing every day. And if I don't have,
I
I mean,
am.
I have inventory for a while, but if it does dry up,
So I've been reading, and I think that this is how I look at it. Warren Buffett says companies usually don't close from shrinking, but the businesses that do close often close because they grow too fast.
yeah.
So right now, since we don't know what's going to happen, I think growing at all might be growing too fast. It might be the time to tell your workers, you know what, I have to list myself right now because we are saving money currently, right? And just like the people working at the gym, we have X amount of listings still to get done. I'm still on track for 2,000 listings this month, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I I have not set a goal for June, so I don't know. Maybe in June,
And that's
uh,
next week.
that's next week. So maybe in June I only pick 500 new listings, and that's going to put my photographer lister into a precarious situation.
Yeah.
And actually, I should have thought of that a little bit earlier, but I'm not. I'm thinking that it may be the best time to just sell down inventory and wait to see what I should be putting my money into next.
Well,
I'm
it's
Sorry.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I have been feeling this week like I just want to increase my sell through rate. I have so much, and I mean, I work out of my house and we have space for inventory. But if I was continuing to grow at that pace and not sell also at that pace or higher, like we're getting overwhelmed with, and it's organized and it looks fine, but I'm like, I have all this inventory, like I should be selling it. So maybe I should be spending more time on eBay, on Poshmark, and finding ways. I ran a sale last night because I was thinking this. I was like, I have things that I've had for a year, like a huge sale because that money's better than nothing, right? And build it up instead of going out there and continuing. I do have some inventory to um, list. I'm getting anxious because I can't just go thrifting like I normally would.
Yeah, I think right now I'm okay waiting. Here's an example of something that I'm not going to do, but it interests me. Right now, I know that I am itching to go to the gym. That's why I can't get my mind off of this. I've been looking, and this is a waste of time, but I've been looking at fitness equipment and sort of salivating at how amazing it would be to be a company where every single thing that you make or stock sells out. Like every single one of these fitness
Um,
companies, like Rogue Fitness, has stuff that's hundreds of dollars and it has 2-month waiting lists, 3 months wait. Everything they make, everything they have is being sold. And I'm like,
yeah, it's
man, that
ridiculous.
is never going to happen to clothing ever. There's never going to be a clothing shortage and everyone goes crazy and buys every single piece of clothing that's available. That will never happen. There's too much supply. So it made me think I need to really narrow it down into something that's more specific because when there's too much supply, there's so many problems that happen. And when there's so much supply, when something bad happens and the economy shrinks, people stop buying that.
Yeah,
Every time I hear, I guess I'm mainly shoes, but in the clothing sector, you'll see what's selling in this turn. I'm looking right now. What's selling really quickly is 10, $11 clothing.
yeah,
If you're
that's
looking at the
exactly what I'm
solds,
seeing.
it's
Yeah,
killing it because that's what people are not so worried about buying. Or people right now are in the upcycle world and they're spending up for the quality pieces. Like, you know what? I got to make this last for a long time. I'm going to go for that Patagonia piece that I can wear for 4 years.
yeah, but
So
I'm
I'm seeing
definitely
it.
seeing I'm definitely seeing a uptick in those lower price items. Those are going pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And like jeans and shorts and like, I mean, I had a bunch of prom dresses that those haven't sold because proms all got canceled. Wedding dresses, brides, obviously those aren't selling. Had I known last year, I wouldn't have gotten them, but
Hmm.
they sold for me in previous years, and I'm sure they eventually will again. Um, it's interesting because I like selling shoes and clothes, but maybe I don't want to look outside the marketplace and see what, because you're right, that's not, I mean, there's a surplus of that right now.
So let's talk
Um,
about one last thing that you're going to work on before next week.
yeah.
To try to adjust. And then obviously, I'm sorry, we're gonna continue this conversation on Sarah's channel. So today is gonna be in reverse because YouTube's not working for me. So I will post this after going on to Sarah's channel. So check out her channel, Sarah Styles LLC. And Sarah, what's one last thing you can share that you want to work on before next week?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot. I think I'm gonna really look at, and I usually do this at the end of May. I constantly look at my data, but really at the end of May, look at what is selling, look at what is working for me, and then maybe not be as obsessive about finding inventory. Still looking for it, but work on what is selling for me right now, listing what I have, and kind of just paying more attention to what's happening out there. Does that make sense? I don't know if that's a specific thing. I'm gonna look at my data and see what I know my average sale price is lower, but what is driving that and what can I do to work with that?
I agree. I'm gonna do the same thing. So, guys, what we're gonna work on this week, both of us, is just trimming down our inventory and figuring out what's selling and what's not. So, everybody out there, stay happy, stay motivated, and then just next week on the first, I'm gonna be starting season 3 of my channel. So, I've been separating it in the seasons. So, I've been taking some time to think about what I want to do next season. It'll be exciting. I'll see you guys next week, and I'll see you guys on Sarah's channel. Take care, guys.